Today on Playlist Junkie, we have a complete overload. Two of my favorite bands are Judas Priest and Iron Maiden. I have to include them in here. I feel wrong delaying any further without paying tribute to them, so I figured to put them both together into one epic playlist showcasing some of their best opuses. I'm picking tracks that I think demonstrate these bands at their best, but each one of them has a long career with an overwhelming catalog of great music, so it's really tough to decide. I'm generally steering away from the obvious hits. I know if you're familiar with Priest, you must have heard You've Got Another Thing Coming, and with Maiden, you probably heard Number of the Beast. So I want to focus the attention on some other amazing songs that you gotta hear if you haven't already. It's a long list, it's over 3 hours, so I'd say the best way to appreciate it is to listen to it in sections, to come back to it every now and then. I've broken it up into different periods in each band's career, so you'll get a chunk of Priest, a chunk of Maiden, and so on. Check it out. First up, Priest, the 70s. Victim of Changes, Dissident Aggressor, Exciter, the Green Manalishi, Hellbent for Leather. It's a tough call, but these 5 tracks are undoubtedly essential, even though there's tons more to pick from. Victim of Changes has some of Rob Halford's most ambitious vocals. Green Manalishi is a cover, actually, of Fleetwood Mac, but it's become such a part of Priest. Hellbent for Leather sounds like it's declaring metal as their lifestyle, like it's official. If you took just all their albums from the 70s, you would already have this amazing career to look back on. Now let's look at the Iron Maiden side of things. This is all from the 80s. Phantom of the Opera, Ides of March, and Wrathchild. Both of those must be listened to back to back. Hallowed Be Thy Name, The Trooper, Aces High, Rime of the Ancient Mariner, which is a 13-minute masterpiece. Given the length of all these combined, I feel like this is already a healthy dose of Maiden, even though they have so much more great stuff from the 80s. I think when narrowed down, these are the tracks I come back to the most often. 2 vocalists here, you got a few from Paul Di'Anno and the rest with Bruce Dickinson. I don't know what to say about these to do them justice. These are simply some of the best songs I ever heard in my life. Now, 80s Priest. Metal Gods, all hail the Metal Gods, that's what they are. The Rage, the Hellion, and Electric Eye. Again, it's 2 tracks technically, but you have to listen to them together. Riding on the Wind, the Sentinel, Turbo Lover, this is when they were going through their glam metal phase. Ram It Down, Painkiller, oh shit, we're in the 90s now, but fuck it, The Hell Patrol. Okay, so this chunk of songs begins with 1980 and ends with 1990. This represents the decade of Priest, beginning with the British Steel album, which was when they broke into the mainstream, and ending with 2 tracks off the Painkiller album, which was their coda. It was their heaviest, most ass-kicking album yet, and it was the last one with Halford for a while. He left the band, and it was more than a decade before he returned, so Priest did continue. I think of this album as an atomic finale to the metal movement. It just blew everything away, and then from the ashes came grunge and all these other genres. I think metal got so awesome that things needed to get boring again and start over. I mean, I like a lot of 90s bands, and that could be 1,000 other playlists right there. But anyway, both Priest and Maiden were without their most well-known singers during most of the 90s. That brings us to the next period. Because let's face it, when you're getting into Maiden or Priest, the stuff with Blaze and Ripper is usually the stuff you get to last. With such a big catalog, I want to narrow things down, but I can't ignore these chapters in history, so I'm going to pick one from each. For Maiden, The Sign of the Cross from the X Factor, with Blaze Bayley on vocals. Amazing song, in my opinion, one of their best. Of course, when I say one of their best, I mean one of 50 others, because they're all so good. For Priest, Burn in Hell from Jugulator with Tim Ripper Owens. Really inspiring story about him. He started out singing for a Judas Priest cover band, and the band happened to see him and picked him up. You sing your heart out, and you end up singing for the real band. You never know what's going to happen. Another playlist idea I had was songs with the same name, so you'd have this up against Burn in Hell by Twisted Sister. But, that's another thing. For Maiden in the Millennium, Maiden the Millennium. Wow, that would be a good name for an anthology album. So anyway, Bruce returns, and here's one from each album: The Wicker Man, Rainmaker, Different World, El Dorado, and The Red and the Black, another 13-minute song. These are probably my most often listened to from this era, but it's still a tough decision. What can I say? Give it a listen. From Millennium Era, Priest, Worth Fighting For from Angel Retribution, Nostradamus, the title track, Halls of Valhalla, and Battle Cry, both from Redeemer of Souls. With Nostradamus, that might be the #1 most underrated Priest song out there. Listen for the guitar solo. It's fucking incredible. I can understand not liking the Nostradamus album, but there are some really good songs on there. Wish I could relay what's so great about all these songs, but it's one of those things you just gotta hear them, and if you already have, you know what I mean. Let the music speak for itself.